why do you think she... did she stand by Jimmy Savile when there were rumours going on? You know, he was getting knighted around that time, and he was knighted around that time. There were already rumours out. Might she have known about him?
Well, I don't think there were rumours at that time. I don't cover it in the book.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things, didn't really think it was that important. I think he spent like a couple of Boxing Days at Chequers. They knew each other. I think it's people who weren't around at that time don't realise what a huge celebrity he was. And I don't think, I mean, even if there were rumours, and given that the press regulation then, I mean, like the News of the World was in its sort of pomp, I suppose, at that point, would anyone have dared go there? I doubt it.
You'd have thought the Iron Lady might.
Having said that, and in about 1992, I was playing golf with an advertising executive who had had the British Rail contract in the 1970s. And he told me that it must have been an unspoken part of that contract, because it couldn't possibly have been in writing, that he would be provided with underage girls.
No.
So this was only 2 years after she left office. Now, I wasn't anything in the media at that point. I mean, what was I supposed to do with that information? I did tell somebody about it about 10 years later, before all of the Newsnight saga. They couldn't corroborate any of it. And this was from a Sunday newspaper, and nothing happened. So it was only, 10 years later after that, so literally 20 years after I was first told about it, that it all came out.
I can't believe you were told that. It is a difficult thing. I mean, I get messages all the time, oh, you know what Tom Hanks is up to, you know, and you go, well, come on, you know, what am I going to do with go to the FBI because so-and-so from some place who I've never says Tom Hanks, you know, what do you do?
I get those all the time too.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have gone out on a limb on occasion to defend people who have been accused of the most terrible sexual crimes. I remember, I think this was 2003, was it? I can't remember the exact date, when Neil and Christine Hamilton were accused of raping a woman called Nadine Milroy Sloan.
That's right.
And they coincidentally happened to have Louis Theroux in tow doing a documentary. Well, they were friends of mine. And so I got a call from someone in the media saying, oh, this has happened. Can you come on Channel 4 News at 7? I thought, well, what am I supposed to say? I mean, I just knew it was preposterous.
How did that end up? I saw the Louis documentary. I don't even know.
I mean, they weren't ever charged. I mean, nothing happened in the end, but it was a horrible experience. So I went on Channel 4 News and sort of said what I could say, said it was preposterous. And then Newsnight called and said, would you come on and talk about them? And somebody said to me, you shouldn't do any more of this because it'll harm your political career. And I said, well, look, either I knew that a lot of the Hamiltons' friends had dropped them after all the fired stuff. And I mean, in politics and the media, you have friends, and then you have friends in inverted commas. And I wasn't going to be a friend in an inverted comma. I thought, if you are their friend, you have to stick up for them. So I went and did it. Harvey Procter, another one, who suffered the most terrible injustice. And in the middle of one of my shows when I was interviewing him, it's a 25-minute interview, he burst into tears on a couple of occasions during the interview. He was basically bankrupt. And I launched a Just Giving appeal on my show. And I did think to myself, I'm not quite sure what the Ofcom rules are on this, but this is a guy in distress. And my listeners raised £12,000. And that basically saved him from destitution. Paul Gambaccini, I published his memoir about the accusations that he had. I've stood up for Cliff Richard. And there was another woman who emailed me who wasn't in the public eye, but her husband had been accused of downloading pictures of underage boys. And she wanted to write the story of all of this. And it was the most horrific thing. And it's the sort of thing where you think, well, if they can be accused of it, anybody can. Mm-hmm. And the police have behaved completely disreputably. And I just said to her, you know what, if this only sells 100 copies, I still want to publish it because your story needs to be heard. And the only way that he was in the end acquitted was because some computer forensic guy ascertained that the very time that these pictures were paid for by a credit card, which didn't even belong to him, was at the very time that he was at the altar marrying his wife.
Wow.
Now,
and if he hadn't been doing that,
that saved him. Now, in the end, the whole thing ruined their marriage. And it was a very, very human story. Now, the book didn't sell very well, but I'm still proud to have published it.
It's a very brave thing to do, to sort of align yourself with these people, because also you never actually, even when you're your best friends, you don't actually know.
Well, because when you defend a series of people in these situations, then people naturally assume that, well, you must be a bit of a pedo as well. And of course, because I'm gay,
or sympathise.
Well, yeah, or because there is still this narrative that gay men are sort of more prone to paedophilia than straight people. It's complete bollocks, by the way.
Of course it is.
But there is still that narrative out there. I remember having a discussion on gay marriage with gay adoption with David Davis back in 2003, who's, as I said before, was one of my best friends.
Yeah.
And I said, why don't you think it's better for a child to be brought up by two loving parents, no matter what their sex are, than in a children's home? And because he'd been adopted himself, and I thought he ought to really empathise with this. He said, oh, yeah, but you have to think of the children. I said, what do you mean? I said, what, you think they're more at risk with gay parents than they would be with straight parents?
Oh.
Now, I'd like to think
horrible.
He's changed his mind on that over the years. But there is still that out there in society. We think that we've become we're accepting of gay marriage and all the rest of it, but there are still people who have those kind of attitudes.